Well, good morning, everybody. Not really good morning, just morning, everybody. It's Sunday. I don't normally do a video on a Sunday at 9:30, but after everything that happened yesterday, I felt we needed to have a full conversation looking at everything that happened post the City game. All the reaction from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, all the reaction from reports about whether or not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be sacked. And it's going to be a pretty sad show. So what I'll say is welcome to the therapy room. My name is Dr. Sam, and for the next hour of my life, we are all going to talk about our problems with Manchester United and how I tell you what it's ruining. Can we stop with these early kickoffs? Good God, they don't half ruin your weekend, do they? Jesus. Yesterday was no different. Yesterday was worse. Yesterday, it might have been 2-0 by comparison. It wasn't as bad as the 5-0 against Liverpool, but it felt just as bad. It felt that game there was that game against City was humiliation on a next level, on a completely next level. It was as I said, it was 2-0, and it only remained 2-0 because City were genuinely kind to Manchester United. City genuinely took the foot off the gas in the same way that Liverpool took their foot off the gas against us in that 5-0 after Paul Pogba got sent off. City in that second half could have made that 3-4, 5-0. City in that first half could have made it 3-4, 5-0. Manchester United had more we had more shots on our own goal than we did on City's goal. De Gea obviously conceded one on goal to Eric Bailly. You saw it. I'm not going to speak about really what happened inside the game in this video, right? You've seen my match reaction. You've seen all the fallout to the game yesterday. We've all had those discussions already, right? That's not what we need to talk about. What we need to talk about in this video is how you're feeling after that game. You let me know in the comments. I'll try and read as many as I can out, but no doubt it's going to be a bit feisty in the comments today. So I'll try my best. I promise to do. I will. We don't need to talk about what happened during that game yesterday. That's dead and buried and done. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I've spoken about it clearly in my post-match reaction. But what I want to talk about now is what is next. What's happening with Manchester United? What's happening with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Will he be sacked by the club? I'm going to bring you all the latest reports coming out from yesterday from Daniel Taylor from The Athletic. As I said, I'll take a look at the sources that I trust and I want to bring to you. I certainly trust The Athletic. We're going to take a look at what he's saying about the whole situation in Manchester United's board. We're going to be taking a look at more of the fallout from yesterday, what the players' reactions were, what David De Gea's reaction was in particular. What else have we got on the cards? We're going to be speaking about Jamie Carragher and what he has had to say and how somehow I'm sitting here agreeing more with Jamie Carragher than I'm Gary Neville, which is a bit odd. And we're also going to be speaking about Ralph Rangnick, and I'll explain that towards the end of the show. And then there's one thing I want to say here at the start before we get into this video, and it's something that really, really pisses me off, is Manchester United now, because of how we're acting with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, have forced Manchester United fans, a lot of Manchester United fans, and I know it's happened to me, so I'm sure it's happened to quite a few of you as well. They've forced us into a position now where we're feeling this sort of scorn towards Solskjaer, and it's starting to affect how we're thinking about Solskjaer. And it shouldn't have reached this stage. Man United are putting a load of fans in a really awkward position now because we've got to be so vocal when it comes to wanting Solskjaer out, and I don't like doing it. I really do not like doing it, and it jars me. But I have to do it because it's the right thing to do for the club. And at the same time as me saying that, and how annoyed I am that Manchester United are putting us in this position, I honestly, for the life of me, I do not understand anybody, any United fan who is saying, Solskjaer could just walk. Solskjaer could resign. How are you possibly putting this on Solskjaer's shoulders at that point? When it comes to him being sacked and relieved, it comes from above. Don't try and... It's the board and their stubbornness and their refusal to make a change up until this stage. And let's be honest, it should change and it probably will change. Their stubbornness is the reason he's still inside that job. Their lack of planning is the reason he's still inside that job. Don't now go here and try and say Solskjaer should be walking. No, I don't think he should. It's not on Solskjaer to do that. It's down to the club. Simple as that. But look, I'm going to say that, and I know quite a few of you will disagree on that, but I don't. That's why I said it. But what I'm going to do now is getting straight in to the reports coming out from Manchester, from all the journalists yesterday. What is going on with Solskjaer? Will he be sacked? When will he be sacked? what is next for Manchester United? Let's get into it, ladies and gents. Coming from Jamie Jackson, from I was saying that reliable journalist, he's not that reliable, but this is the word from yesterday. It's saying that Manchester United are still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And what I'm going to do as the main focus of this is look down here at this article written by Daniel Taylor on The Athletic. After City subjects Solskjaer's side, that's a very hard sentence to say, to a latest Old Trafford indignity, where do Manchester United turn from here? Let's go down. Let's read what Daniel Taylor's had to say. So the biggest problem perhaps is that there is nobody waiting for the job. And that, as I said, is the only reason that Solskjaer hadn't been sacked earlier, is because Manchester United did not know where to turn next. Nobody would be immediately available. I mean, there are some immediately available. We'll speak about that. And everybody's got Schadenfreude. And Schadenfreude is an old German word, and it means when you take pleasure in someone else's pain. I'll be honest, it's actually one of my favorite words. I love not the concept of Schadenfreude, it's just a cool word. But I don't like seeing it used in this situation. But that's exactly what's happening. And that's why that City game felt so goddamn humiliating. The away end there, the City fans had the time of their life in that away end. And Manchester United fans had absolutely no ammunition to come back at them with. None. City just did what they wanted, toyed with us. As it was like a spoiled kid just getting a Christmas present. He didn't really care about playing with that much, but he just played with it a little bit and then just sort of pushed it to one side and then just kept it at arm's length. That's all City did to us yesterday. It was proper humiliation. Proper humiliation. Let's go down here. Let's continue seeing what Daniel Taylor's had to say. Even then, the question has to be asked in the context. There was never any hard evidence that United were particularly intrigued by the possibility of bringing in Conte. That we all knew that. Manchester United, if we wanted to get Conte, we would have got Conte. But what's going on with Solskjaer? Will he be sacked? Daniel Taylor here saying Manchester United seems so reluctant to move him out. Here's the important thing. It's one thing one thing saying Solskjaer should go in that, and approaching his 3-year anniversary, it cannot be allowed to continue. It just isn't so easy knowing how United intend to fix this mess. And even if they do have a rethink and decide that's enough, and as of yet, there is no indication that they are leaning this way. So Daniel Taylor here in The Athletic saying, well, as of last night, Manchester United are still staying firm on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And at this point, if that is truly still the word coming out from Manchester United, that they are staying behind Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it is down to pure and utter stubbornness, pure and utter personal pride getting in the way of correct decision-making processes, which shouldn't happen at any business, at any board level. It's about objectivity. It's about understanding what's best for the business. What's best for the business, what's best for Manchester United, as we know now, is replacing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That's not what's best for Ed Woodward. That's not what's best for the board, because it means them all admitting, hands up, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have given that new contract. It's going to cost us money. And instead of doing that before he leaves, he's being allowed to drag this out. And Ed Woodward somehow, he's still somehow got his claws in Manchester United. Jesus. And I don't think it's going to change that much when Richard Arnold comes in. I'll be completely honest, because ultimately their bosses are still the same. Let me go down here. Actually, let me read a few of your comments out here first. Susan, there you go. And you're saying, I will put it on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because of how he's treated some players, how he thought he was competent enough to be a manager without any coaching experience. Now, I understand if the fact if you're angry at how he's dealt with Van der Beek, how he's dealt with Sancho. There, yeah, I understand that completely. But what do you mean? How he thought he was competent enough to be a manager without any coaching experience? What that's a bit of a strange comment. So as I said, Solskjaer got his dream job. Should he have got that dream job? No, not at the time, not according to his CV. But Manchester United had gone from Van Gaal to Mourinho, and we were like, we don't know where to turn. We don't know where. Let's just go for a former player. Cross our fingers. It might work out. It might be a new Guardiola. And I'll tell you what, it worked out more than Manchester United fans, more than Manchester United could have imagined, for sure. But at this point, it's gone too far, and we all know that. Edgar, you're saying you're a funny dude. You rode the Ole bandwagon, and now you're different. Edgar, it's almost like opinions can change over time. It's almost like I'm not proud enough of my decision to back Solskjaer at the start, that I'm now still blindly trying to do it and trying to support it, and I'm not Ed Woodward. That's exactly what Manchester United aren't doing. Manchester United did back Solskjaer, and they were the drivers of the bandwagon. But instead of now taking a step back and saying, you know what, maybe we were wrong. Man United, with their pride of not wanting to be wrong and saying, that we're still sticking with it. Now, you would have a go at me more, and you should do, have a go at me more if I didn't change my opinion, if my opinion didn't get changed by the context of what's happening in front of me. That's what happens with opinions. So people, don't ever have a go at anybody in life if their opinion changes, right? Because your opinion can change, and you should be allowed to have your opinion change based on the evidence you have in front of you. And if you do change your opinion on any topic in life, whether it's politics, whether it's, I don't know, any single thing in life, it's a good thing. It shows that you're understanding, you've got a critical thinking process, and it means that you can take one argument and then take it somewhere else when the evidence is presented in front of you. If I was on this video now saying, look, let's still back Solskjaer, could you imagine what these comments would be saying? Jeez. So you can't have a go at anybody in life for changing their opinion. Don't just do it on a flip-flop basis. Don't go from here to there to change back to change there. But if you do change over the course of time, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Let me go down here. Ed Yakan saying, what the Glazers family waiting for? We know what they're waiting for. They're waiting for absolutely nothing. They don't really care about Manchester United. They never have cared about Manchester United. And we all know that ultimately they are still at the root of these problems. If it wasn't the board that was controlled by the Glazers and with their lapdog in Ed Woodward, the board would have acted fast like the ambitious clubs around us in the Premier League, which I will get onto in the next article. Let's continue seeing what Daniel Taylor has to say here. What it does here is it goes down to look at, if there were options available, who would they be? Talks about Pochettino at PSG, talks about Luis Enrique at Spain. No chance we're going to get Enrique. No chance we're going to get Mancini. They're just two names there that are getting banded around. Ten Hag. Now, you know how I feel about Ten Hag, and there's going to be content around him next week. Trust me, I've already got it prepared. Zinedine Zidane, he's been named too, but there's no indication that he wants the Manchester United job. And let's scroll down here, and this is an important thing, and this is everything. The bottom line, of course, is it remains a hypothetical question anyway about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being sacked. United are hoping this crisis blows over, and there is no sign that Ed Woodward, now understood to be in his final weeks as chief executive, wants to remove Solskjaer as his final act before cutting his own ties. Solskjaer, in other words, appears to be staying where he is. What would be unacceptable at just about every other elite club, it seems, is acceptable for the current Manchester United regime. So Daniel Taylor, they're going on to really explain that, as far as we know, Ed Woodward is leaving Manchester United as our chief executive at the end of 2021. That's what, 6 weeks away, 7 weeks away. He's saying there that the last thing that Woodward wants to do is a big mistake, one of the biggest mistakes he's made, as his parting gift to Manchester United. He wouldn't want that for his own pride, but Manchester United is a football club. You know what's more important than Ed Woodward's pride? Manchester United is a football club. But unfortunately, when he's the man in power, how do you get above him to change that? It might be Ed Woodward just pushing back against this. Oh, good to see you this morning, mate. I hope you're feeling all right. As I said, welcome to the therapy room. Part of the reason Ole was here for this long, he helped deflect the issues at the club away from the Glazers. Fans had a higher threshold because of Ole. Now, as I said, Ole's done a fantastic job in a lot of regards. And when this is all said and done, when the dust is settled, when we can look back on that Solskjaer reign, I can't wait to do I'm really looking forward to doing that video where I properly, forensically explain to people why Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the best manager we have had post-Fergie. I don't care about the Europa League under Mourinho by comparison, or the League Cup, or the FA Cup under Van Gaal. Solskjaer's made me believe again that Manchester United are a top-level club. Obviously, we've fallen short this season, but that expectation of what I thought United could achieve going into this season by comparison of any season post-Fergie, that's completely transformed. And I'm not going to get into it now. I'm not going to get into it. As I said, I can't wait to do that video because he deserves that video. He deserves that praise. As much as he deserves criticism as well, he deserves that praise. I can see Red Army Germany. Guten Tag. Coming out from Germany. How you doing, buddy? Nice to see you there joining as a member. Congratulations, by the way. You've entered now into the draw to win the Ronaldo shirt. I'm not going to say this. I'll only say this once on this stream. Look, we're doing, that by now, every single week. Doing a CR7 shirt giveaway here on United People's TV between now and Christmas. It's my way of giving back to you on the channel. And I'd love to have you on board. Hit the join button if you want to, down below on YouTube. And if you're watching on Facebook, hit the support now button, or there's a link in the description of both videos. It's your way of supporting the channel, coming a little bit closer and coming into United People's TV family, because I'll tell you what, we need it. As I said, I'm going to have to put the glasses back on because welcome to the therapy room. Rogers is the man, says Terence. I don't think Rogers is the man if I'm being... Oh, geez, it doesn't really work with the... Oh, look at that. Terrible lighting. We'll take those off. Rogers, no, it's not for me personally. And Gary, you're saying I've actually given up after yesterday. I personally sort of gave up after Liverpool. I think after that Liverpool game, it took so much of my belief away from me. And I was someone that I never thought that was going to happen to me. I never ever thought that was going to happen to me. But after that Liverpool game, there was something just faded into the distance that I didn't think was ever going to come back, and it's now been proven. And to do that performance against City 2 weeks after the Liverpool game, when we saw a reaction with all those false apologies from players saying, "Oh, we just need to prove it to them," blah 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 blah, and they go and do that 2 weeks later, it goes to show that nothing really truly is going to change under this regime, and that's why it is too little, too late for anything that comes forward from this point. And we need a new manager by Watford. Danny, you can see you've joined as well. Good night, good morning to you, my friend. Nice to see you joining the family too. Let's continue going on and looking at what Daniel Taylor's had to say. And as I said, there is so much to discuss in this show. We're going to be looking at more of the player reactions to yesterday, certain ones, and one in particular from David De Gea, speaking about Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville, and Roy Keane, speaking about Ralph Rangnick. Obviously, reports are linking him with the Manchester United job as an interim manager. So you want to stick around for that, please make sure you do. And also, I'll say now, I'm going to have a video out on Ralph Rangnick within the next few hours as well, taking a look at him and a look in detail at the report. So I'm not going to speak about Rangnick too much in this video because there's another video coming very, very soon, in the next couple of hours, that's going to explain everything to you. More of like an educational video, covering all the reports and letting you understand who he is as a manager. Let's go on and let's continue looking at what Daniel Taylor's had to say here. All of this must seem perplexing to say the least for many Manchester United supporters, bearing in mind Solskjaer's team came off their latest defeat with the worst goals against column at home than Norwich. My God. And then it goes on to do a lot of bad stats. A lot of bad stats. I don't really need to go into it. But what you're effectively saying here is that this is the thing to take away from what Manchester United are currently saying as a club. They're hoping that it blows over. Ed Woodward has no intention of sacking and removing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That comes down to personal pride rather than that being the right decision for Manchester United. Sorry. That's the word coming out from the club this morning. Will that change? Could that change? Absolutely. I expect the next few days that we're going to be going live quite a few times at random occasions during the day. It's going to be that sort of week. It's like when we're covering the transfer window and things can develop, things can happen in an instant. This is what's going to happen now with Solskjaer. Now, after the Liverpool game, remember on that Monday when reports came out in the morning, I remember how it happened. The reports came out in the morning that he was getting full support of the club. And then only a couple of hours later, I think about 11 o'clock, Fabrizio Romano said Richard Arnold and Joel Glazer are having an emergency meeting. They held that emergency meeting. Then we didn't really hear much for a couple of days. Obviously, Fergie went to the training ground. Solskjaer was there. Question marks. Would he be sacked? Would he be sacked? Tuesday, boom. All got blown out of the water the day after, saying Solskjaer is supported fully by Manchester United and will not be sacked as manager. I expect there to be a developing story today. Look, hell, I might be back here later on today. I don't think anything's really going to happen on a Sunday. It would strike me as a little bit of a surprise. But when Monday comes around and it's the first day of the international break, 2 weeks without football, Manchester United, look, we may not have been planning as a football club properly for life after Solskjaer. And that's why he wasn't sacked after Liverpool. It's been 2 weeks since Liverpool. And we're now in the same situation going into a Sunday, going into a Monday with Solskjaer. It's now worse. It's now past the point of being tenable. There's no justification for it anymore. If after Liverpool he had 3 games to save his job, we've just done that against City. All right. It's not, there's no point me ranting and getting angry and spitting at the screen. There's a point in that. It's not going to help anyone. You don't need that. You've already done that. We've all done that. It doesn't help anyone to do that. It's why it's more important to have like a measured conversation. But things have to be different. And if United didn't have any plans by Liverpool, they've had 2 weeks since. That's 2 full weeks for the club to be planning behind the scenes. So if we weren't in a position to do it then, that should have changed now. We should be in a position to do it now. And you're saying situations just like Lampard's Chelsea, world-class team, but a clueless manager. You need experience to manage top-class players. You don't always need experience, but and you're right. Largely, you are correct. There are a few examples where whether it's, I don't know, coaches that come through academy teams. Obviously, Pep Guardiola is going to be one standout there. Let's see what goes on with Xavi at Barcelona, see whether that works out. There are individuals that works out. There are anomalies to the rule, but largely, yes, experience is the most crucial thing for any manager. Or, Sam, what did I tell you a couple of weeks ago? I said Ralph in as interim until Ten Hag comes in as manager. Ralph will then be director of football. People said I was crazy. I'd never say you were crazy, or would I? No, I would. I say that quite often because it's probably quite true. But I'm going to be speaking about that exact situation there. And look, maybe you were the all-seeing eye. Maybe you were mystical. Mystical? Sounds like a dragon or something. Terry, nice to see you becoming a member, my friend. Where are you watching from? I'll try and give you a shout out throughout the stream. Let me head down to the comments here and read a few of your comments here. So keep firing them in. Lloyd over on Facebook saying it's one thing to lose a game, but the way we lost. There was no rhythm, no attacking mindset. We had nothing. The manager has done his best, and it's just not good enough. And yeah, but Lloyd, that's what I said going into the game against City. If you join me in the pre-match show, I was like, today's not just about a result for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It really isn't. It's the performance, and the manner of the performance is just as important for Manchester United against City. It really, really was. And that's why that game there was almost worse than Liverpool. Mate, you just, for like 75 minutes, I was just watching City pass the ball around like a training ground exercise. Left, right, forward, back, left, right, forward, back. And United, anytime we got the ball, it almost like went immediately back to them. And the only shot we had was Shaw whipping it in and Ronaldo getting like a bit like Van Persie's first goal against Fulham. Do you remember that one? Whipped him from the first left foot volley into the corner. But Ronaldo wasn't as far into the corner. Edison made a decent save, and I think he parried it onto Greenwood, and it wasn't. There was no chance for Greenwood to reach that ball in time. He couldn't react quick enough, and that was it. Other than that, was it. We just have to watch De Gea getting pummeled in goal, make incredible amount of saves, then to have an absolute howler for the second goal, and that second goal there, that's got to be one of the worst goals I've ever seen Manchester United concede at Old Trafford. Just a little floaty crossing from Canelo. Not Canelo. Although, congrats to Canelo for winning during the night. Cancelo. He just floated a little crappy cross into the back post. Maguire was like, leave it. Leave it. Shaw was like, leave it. Leave it. And then Bernardo Silva was like, thank you very much. Whoop, at the back stick. And then De Gea, I don't know how it's like he almost like chested it in. It was a bit weird, that one. And as I said, it's one of the worst goals I've ever seen Manchester United concede. But that's the last thing I want to talk about from that game because I'm scarred from it already. But yeah, the latest from Daniel Taylor there is that Ed Woodward and Manchester United do not want to sack Solskjaer yet. And it comes down to stubbornness. It doesn't come down to it being the right or the wrong decision. It comes down to pure stubbornness. And Manchester United and as a board and Manchester United as Ed Woodward refusing to accept that they've made that mistake with Solskjaer, with that new contract, because they've made the payout significantly higher. But that needs to change, right? And that's what we're wanting to see in the next 24, 48 hours. We've got 2 weeks until Watford. There are opportunities for other things to happen. Now, I'm going to be speaking about that very, very shortly. So make sure you don't leave the stream. Stick to it because it's going to be an interesting stream. But this is it, right? This is the crux of it all. This is coming from, I believe, Michael Cox. Yeah, it is Michael Cox over on The Athletic. And he's saying something that is very, very true. And this is an important thing to understand of the United way, right? We all know the United way is being used as a sort of like a stake in the ground. And that's the reason that we didn't sign Antonio Conte. The United way, the United way, the United way. We don't know what the United way really truly is anymore. But the fact of the matter is this. Things have changed inside the Premier League. Things really have. And the scope of the Premier League, to win the Premier League, what you did 5-10 years ago, you cannot do anymore. Things have changed. Times have changed. And this is completely true from Michael Cox. Ambitious clubs no longer wait until their manager's position is untenable. They upgrade as soon as they can. And this is it. This is it now. This sentence sums up what Manchester United as a club right now are struggling to adapt to in what the modern day Premier League champions have to do. Ambitious clubs are now looking at it in another manner without such emphasis on incumbency. They're simply scanning the options and working out if there's a possible upgrade to be had. If so, they pounce. A manager's current level of performance is less relevant. And it goes on to explain that's pretty much how Jurgen Klopp came into Liverpool. That's how, obviously, Thomas Tuchel came into Chelsea and how Pep Guardiola came in City. Now, that City plan for Pep, so I'm not really sure that much is true, but it's the changing scope of the Premier League, isn't it? What once upon a time it was about that long-term manager, but long-term now in football is like what, 3 years? I would probably say, let me know in the comments. That's an interesting one. What do you consider long-term as a manager in football now? Back in the day, it was like the Fergies and your Wengers, and they won't happen anymore. They won't happen in the modern game. Someone like Klopp, who's been there for 5-6 years, that's really, really long-term. So your long-term, I would say, is dropped to like a period of like maybe 3, maybe 4 years, less than 4 years. So that's what Manchester United haven't. I mean, obviously we've had no manager that's lasted more than 2. Mourinho was no. Solskjaer is now the longest, and that was Mourinho. Then it's Van Gaal, and then it's obviously Moyes. Rory, you're saying that 4 to 5 years is long term at a club, and Chris, you're saying 5 years. Yeah, man, things have changed, times have changed, and Manchester United now we've tried it with Van Gaal, we've tried it with Mourinho, and I'll get on to the points that Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville had to say after the game. If you haven't seen it, honestly, I would encourage you, obviously, because it's my video. I did a video reacting to everything that Neville and Keane said in the post-game analysis yesterday. I think I might start that I've started doing that as a bit of a series. I think you guys and girls enjoy it, and ladies and gents, and I think I'll do it. But yeah, just check out that video. It's on the channel. Danny, you're saying we know the board won't sack Solskjaer, and Solskjaer can't sack himself. The question now is how we, as a fan base, can pressure the board to make the decision. Danny, the ultimate reality there, we cannot do anything to pressure anything. All we can do is have discussions. And all I'm going to be doing now for the next week, I'm not going to be sitting here and waiting here on United People's TV for Manchester United to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the inevitability that it now has after that City game, right? It really is a case of when and not if after that City game, in my opinion. Now, of course, my opinion might be completely wrong, but what I'm going to do next week and the week after, I'm going to be looking ahead. I'm going to be saying, okay, if he's sacked, what comes in for Manchester United? Who can come next? I'm going to take a look at all the managers that are available, starting with Ralf Rangnick today. There's going to be a video on him as Manchester United's interim manager, what that would mean, what the reports are saying. That's going to come out after this video, probably around about 1 o'clock UK time. I'll aim for that. Might be able to get it out a little bit earlier. I'm also going to take a look at other options, take a look at longer-term planning options. The club might not be planning, but it doesn't mean that we can't. It doesn't mean that we can't have the discussions, because this is the sort of things that need to happen at board level, right? Now, let's go and look at a bit more reaction from yesterday. And there was one thing in particular that I wanted to say that pretty much summed up everything, summed up the real feeling among United fans. And this was David De Gea on Twitter last night. No message, no fake apology. I'm hurting. I'm hurt. He's saying there exactly what Manchester United fans are feeling. And if you haven't seen it, I won't pull this up full screen because I don't know whether I'll get shut down for copyright. But this is David De Gea at full time walking down the tunnel. And as you can see there, when he punches the tunnel, De Gea loses it. De Gea's frustrated beyond belief. Maybe I can do that and make it a little bit bigger there. That'll probably be a bit better. As you can see there, David De Gea fuming. And it pretty much sums up the feeling that we've got there among the players now as well. De Gea representing the fan frustration there with lashing out. And it was like, that was a half time, apparently. Well, same thing. Actually, no, half time was even worse. That was just after he conceded that goal. But Manchester United, I don't know how there's any sort of recovery from the position we currently find ourselves in, apart from going somewhere else with a new manager. And that's what we're going to speak about now, right? Before I do move on to speaking about that now, I'll highlight this, which is what Jamie Carragher said after the game, because Gary Neville was speaking on Sky Sports about how Manchester United have been burned with Jose Mourinho, burned with Louis van Gaal, 2 experienced managers. That's why they won't go and do it again. And Jamie Carragher had this to say. He said, what a load of nonsense it is that because of Van Gaal and Jose, that because they failed at United, that they shouldn't look for a better manager. And he's completely and utterly spot on. I said it in my video yesterday. I said Gary Neville has really fallen foul of objectivity as a pundit over these last 4 to 6 weeks. Because of his close relationship with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's been stuck between a rock and a hard place, not wanting to call his friend out. In a bit, I suppose what you could do is compare that situation to what Ed Woodward is doing inside the board. he knows full well that the right decision for the club would be to sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and replace him. But at the same time, that would damage his own ego. And what he's doing is choosing to protect his own ego rather than make the right decision. In the same way that Gary Neville is protecting his friendship with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his feelings towards him as a human being, instead of objectively saying, well, he's got to be sacked. He's got to go. He needs to be replaced. And that's why I pulled that conversation here, that tweet up from Jamie Carragher. If you want to see my full reaction, I'll leave it in the comments now, actually. Why not? If you want to see my full reaction, this is the video link here. I've run through everything that Gary Neville and Roy Keane both had to say. And you might enjoy it. As I said, I'll be interested to know your opinions on that video too. But let's move on to what's coming next, right? We've had half an hour here. We've talked about all the latest updates on Solskjaer coming out of the club. So what could be happening next? Let's take a look at them. And there's one big report coming out from yesterday. And this is the one I'm going to cover in a lot of detail. Ralf Rangnick is still interested in Manchester United. That's coming from Christian Falk, who I believe is a sports editor out at Bild. Now, Ralf Rangnick, as you can see from that tweet, it's not the first time he's been linked with the job. 2019, he was linked with the job. Nothing really happened. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in. So this is not just a name that's been pulled out of a hat. This is a name that has been linked with Manchester United before. What I'm going to do in a video, as I said at 1 o'clock, is I'm going to look at these reports in a bit more detail. I'm going to take a full story look. The good old full stories coming back. One of my favourite series I started on United People's TV. Ralf Rangnick is linked with the United job. Who is Ralf Rangnick? Could he be the right person for Manchester United right now? Would he actually come as an interim manager? What's his CV like? What's his record like? What sort of football does he play? I'm going to cover all of it. All right, so make sure you subscribe to United People's TV, please. That video is going to come out in a few hours' time. But if it's not Ralf Rangnick, that's where the conversation gets a little bit more difficult, because you've got the likes of maybe, I don't know, Lucien Favre. You've got, I don't know, Villas-Boas. You've got a bit of a randomly strange list of managers. Internally, you're not going to look towards Mike Phelan. You're not going to look towards Michael Carrick. You're not going to look towards Kieran McKenna or Darren Fletcher. When it comes to interim managers, give it Giggsy to the end of the season. Remember that? The old Moisey? That was Manchester United looking internally for a short-term fix, and that was all it was, the last few games of the season. That's not going to happen with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer if he is replaced and sacked. It won't be a case of Manchester United looking inwards. There simply is nothing inwards, which makes it more difficult, because if you're looking at an interim manager, and that's the issue, this interim manager, right? It's not really that interim. We're looking at November, December, January, February, March, April. We're looking at 7 months. It's nearly a full season. Whoever this manager that comes in is going to be in at Manchester United for a full season. So I know we're talking about interim because we're looking at the concept of Ralf Rangnick or somebody else until the summer. And that's where, spoiler alert, that's what I'm going to say in the video. Like, Ralf Rangnick maybe looks like the ideal person to come in on a short-term basis between now and the end of the season. And I'm going to explain why it would suit him too. And then it gives us the opportunity to actually plan full plan for Erik ten Hag. Because I don't think he's going to be leaving Ajax in the middle of the season. I've said it. I've maintained it. I don't know why he would. He's done an excellent job to getting Ajax to this point from the recovery after the 2018-19 Champions League pain when they got knocked out by Spurs. He's rebuilt the club and the squad, and he's got them at this position now. He's not going to walk away from it mid-season. Simple as that. Gary, you're saying, let me tell you what's happening. Nothing. They're not going to get rid of Ole until the end of the season. I personally think that is something that can massively change really quickly. Because when it comes to, we all know, right? When it comes to the Glazers, the thing that ultimately makes them move is Manchester United's ability to stay in top four. The top four is if we're looking at something that's going to pressure Manchester United and make them move and make them change, it is that top four. And if we look at how this top four is shaping up, it's shaping up to run away from us. Now, I know Manchester United here, we're fifth. I mean, technically, look, the season's still far from done. Really isn't, if you look at it. Chelsea managed to drop points there against Burnley. We're 9 points off top. That's not infallible. You've got Liverpool there, probably going to win. They're going to go, Liverpool West Ham today, isn't it? That'll be interesting. So one of them is going to be drop points. So there's still, the top four is still completely open there. But Manchester United are just falling further and further behind. Look at that goal difference. We've got a goal difference of 2 compared to Liverpool's 21 and Chelsea's 23. It's damning. It's absolutely damning. Now, the top four is what's going to make the Glazers move. We know that if we're looking at the ultimate pressure of what's going to make Manchester United make that decision, it will be United falling out of that top four race. At the moment, we're still not doing it. So we can't really hope that that's going to be the thing that changes for Manchester United over this next week or two. But it comes down to the planning. It comes down to the fact that what these conversations were over the last 2 weeks between Arnold, between Murto, between Woodward, between Joel Glazer, between the board and Manchester United's technical director and everything behind the scenes at the club. We're not privy to these conversations, right? But if the club was willing to have the emergency meeting after Liverpool and basically say, look, we've got to have this conversation now, and they gave themselves 2 weeks for Solskjaer to prove himself, that means that they plan for those 2 weeks and what's coming up there. That means that they also would have started their contingency planning, surely. And therefore, now we've reached this point here, things have got to change. Now, I'm going to ask in the comments now, type in the interim managers that you think could genuinely work between now and the summer, because I think that's what Manchester United have to look for. It's going to be very difficult / impossible. I would probably say impossible for Manchester United right now to make the right appointment that's going to last for the next 3-4 years. Almost impossible. In the context of everything that's gone on with the club and the pressures and the intensity that's on the club at the moment, I don't think we can make that sort of decision right now. And I don't think that manager's available. As I said, Conte was somebody who a lot of people felt was correct. I disagree personally. And he went to Spurs. So he's not available. Now, Zinedine Zidane is available. I can see down in the comments, quite a few of you are shouting out for Zinedine Zidane. Rory, you're saying Zidane, Blanc, or Rangnick. Now, Blanc is not the first. It's not the first time that he's been mentioned either. Or you're saying Ralph, Joe Snow. You're saying Zidane, Hansi Flick. It's another name that's getting banded around. Ryan Giggs or Sam Allardyce, says Paula, who's feeling very chipper and hilarious this morning. Vieira, he's doing a very good job at Palace. Fair play to him. Potter, neither of those are going to come anywhere near us. Gus Hiddink, Brendan Rodgers, Zidane, Joachim Low, Sam Allardyce, Daniel Farke is available. Excellent point. Daniel Farke is available. Norwich, they're sacking Daniel Farke after their first game of the season, showing that they weren't making that decision based on the result of the game. They'd already made the decision before the game. I wouldn't say they're a particularly well-run club. Norwich are incredible at getting promoted and also equally as incredible at getting relegated. And they've got their first win in the season, so maybe they've got a chance. Ten Hag, for me, if we're looking at long-term planning, there is no real rival. There is nobody else really that ticks the amount of boxes that Erik ten Hag would for Manchester United. But he's not available until the summer. And that's where the difficulty comes in. I think Manchester United are in a position now where Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's position as Manchester United manager is untenable. I also think Manchester United are in a position where Erik ten Hag is the best option, the best long-term planning going forward. But he's not available until the summer. So we've got 7 months where we've got a manager who's got an untenable position, and there's not really someone else who immediately steps out as the right option. So it's going to have to be a decision. And ultimately, do you trust Manchester United's board to make the right decision on this? Do you? We got it wrong with Moyes. We ultimately got it wrong with Van Gaal. We got it wrong with Mourinho. And at this point now, I don't think we got it completely wrong with Solskjaer. I think, as I said, he's helped reestablish a lot of parts of the club that just weren't there anymore post Mourinho. But now it's reaching that set after the summer we've had to be how we're doing now. As I said, I think I said it in my match reaction. Manchester United are on their longest streak without a clean sheet in the Premier League and top flight football at Old Trafford since the Busby Babes, since 1958 and 59, and the recovery that we had to have after the Munich air disaster. And we were quite literally rebuilding a team from scraps, from our academy. And our defence now is as bad as that, / worse. That blows my mind. That's how bad Manchester United have been. But look, Joachim Low, David Moyes, Ronald Koeman. There's some randomly crap names getting thrown out here. I'll tell you that. Roy Keane. People would love Roy Keane. Well, he'd be box office. Eric Cantona. Kenny Dalglish. Wow. Hello, John. Don't think you're on the wrong channel there, mate. Although, if you want to stay here. Simeone, he also hates Liverpool. Simeone's not going to be... I think he's like the second or third best paid manager in the world. But here's the issue, right? Here is the issue. No, there's not one name in that list that's definitive. It's everybody throwing different names out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm looking at like 10 different names there being thrown out as genuine options, and obviously a couple of there trying to take the piss out of me. Carry on. I'm enjoying it. I'm not enjoying it. Don't do it. But they're all random names. No, there's no standout candidate, and that's the conversations that's going to be going on at Manchester United's board. There is no standout candidate. What do we do next? What should we do? Should we stick? Should we twist? What's going on? And that's why they haven't sacked Solskjaer. Ole. I'm going to say Ole. That's why they haven't sacked Ole. But it's not a reason to keep a manager in the job, is it? I suppose it is to a degree, because if you don't know what's next, it's as I said, the comparison I always say is you don't quit your job until you've got a new job. And if you do, you're just taking a massive risk because you could be left empty-handed and jobless for months until you find a new job. And that's what Manchester United, that's the situation we have now. We're deciding to stick with Solskjaer because right now we don't have we can't get that new job. We can't go next. We can't see what's next. But if we were in this situation after Liverpool, surely things would have improved by now. Surely the conversations that are happening in United's board would have actually happened, right? Surely Manchester United have been planning for this. Let me head over to the socials and see if there's anything else that's been said. As always, keep firing in your questions. Keep firing in your super chats and anything you really want me to answer. As I said, this is the therapy session. Welcome to the United Therapy Room. After yesterday, I think we all need a bit of therapy. But the main story coming out of Manchester United today, with the latest on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if you're just joining in, welcome to United People's TV. Please subscribe. Please consider subscribing if you're new and dropping a like on the video. Always does help the channel, even if Manchester United's football right now does not. I looked at this article here from Daniel Taylor from The Athletic speaking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's future, and this is the main point and the main line from the whole article, which I've completely skipped past. I think it must be a little bit up here. United are hoping that this crisis blows over, and there is no sign that Ed Woodward, now understood to be in his final weeks as chief executive, wants to remove Solskjaer as his final act. What would be unacceptable at just about every other elite club, it seems, is acceptable for Manchester United. And that's the situation that we have right now. We all truly want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to be replaced because, as I said, I'm pissed off with the position that Manchester United are putting us fans in. Us fans that really have supported Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Everybody supported Ole Gunnar Solskjaer once upon a time. Then the factions started to appear. Some people moved Ole out earlier than other people. I tried my best to convince those people that they're a little bit too early to jump, man. Come back to this side. Come back and support. Support your manager. And then we've had this fallout post the last international break of Leicester, of the first half against Atalanta, of Liverpool, of the overall performance against Atalanta away. The result was correct thanks to Cristiano Ronaldo, and then the City game, and it's just it just gets further and further away from being tenable to the point now where it's just snapped. Everything's snapped. Everything's gone. It's untenable, and there's no reason that he should be manager anymore. And it just annoys me that fans are being put in this position where we're having to publicly scorn, pardon me, and watch this downfall of Solskjaer. As I said, death by a thousand cuts. It's a comment which has stuck with me that somebody said after the Liverpool game, and I absolutely stand by it. I stand by the fact that those 3 games between Liverpool and City did not save or change Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's future. Kind of proven correct because of what's happened inside those 3 games. Stay of execution, it was called by some. If that was a stay of execution, then why is he still in the job? Then he's surely, if it was a stay of execution, he executed himself against City with that performance. Just an utter lackluster performance, from the start to the finish. Every single player, no pride, zero pride really in that game against City. No one really flying in tackles. No one really chasing the second balls down. It was just like it was a laid back acceptance of we are just shit and we cannot do anything, so I'm not going to waste my time doing it. That's what that game against City felt like. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to read a few of your comments out here. So keep firing in your comments, your opinions, and your super chats as you always do. Please, if you would, as I said before, I don't want to beg. I'm not, but consider subscribing if you want to be part of the United People's TV community, and it's good. Now, Tun, you're not the first one to say this, but interim Sir Alex, I'm probably just going to jump out here and say, look, no, I don't think Fergie is going to be coming back as an interim basis. Maybe for a lot of you, it would seem like the perfect short-term solution for somebody who would happily come in and steady the ship. And maybe I can't rule that out. I just don't see Fergie coming back in. And I don't think it would be fair on Fergie for him to come back in and suffer the sort of the scorn that would come if it didn't work. I'm sure it bloody would work. Christ almighty, it's Fergie. But no, I don't think Fergie's coming back. Let's go up here saying, Alfie, you're expecting would be a way better. What's that saying? You're expecting would be a better way of putting it, but doubt the ball will sack him and got too much pride to give up. Yeah, that pride, mate. Pride is a dangerous thing in life, right? We all know that. Pride is a very dangerous thing. If you're unable to stop pride getting in the way of you making decisions, it really will get in the way of things in your life. Little life lesson for everybody there. I'm sure you all know it by now. I'm not here preaching, but it really will. When pride becomes too much, like me, if I was still on the Solskjaer bandwagon and I was too proud to admit my mistakes, I wouldn't be very good at what I did here as I'm trying to be an objective pundit, if you want to call it that. Yeah, it's dangerous and it's getting in the way of Manchester United's board. It's been getting in the way for a long, long time. Let me go down here. Maliki, what you're saying, Sam, we don't have leaders at our club anymore. The only leaders we have are Ronaldo and Bruno. We've just said we've got no leaders and he just named 2 leaders. We do have leaders at Manchester United now. That isn't really the issue, in my personal opinion. The ultimate leader, Harry Maguire, on the pitch, he's not the leader. David De Gea is probably the captain without the armband. Bruno Fernandes is the captain without the armband. But then we're looking at how Bruno Fernandes played yesterday. He was telling everybody to calm down and then just booting it somewhere. And then saying, just calm down, and then booting it. He's a very emotional player. And when it works, it works. But when it doesn't, he can let it get on top of himself. It's probably the cappuccino he has at 11 p.m. before bed. Norwich coach is available, says Mifudi. Well, he is. But he's not coming in. Ralf Rangnick right now is the name that's getting banded around. As I said, I'm not ignoring the reports here on United People's TV. I've already talked about them during this live stream. I'm going to save my real, true opinion for the video I'm going to do just after this. I'm going to record it and get it out for you as soon as possible. That's going to be a full story looking at the Ralf Rangnick rumours coming out from Germany, taking a look at his CV, what he's done in his career, what his current job is. Will he leave that current job? I'm going to cover all of that. Let me go down here. I never wanted Ole because I don't live by my emotions. I wanted Ole. Absolutely wanted Ole post Mourinho. Because United had tried everything. United needed to go down a different path. And we went down that path. And we remember those first 3 months. And we remember PSG. And we remember Solskjaer getting that contract. And we were like, my God, this is heaven. This is heaven. Obviously, our asses fell out at that point. Last few months of the season after the contract was signed, it was terrible. Came to the next season, it was up and down. And it's been up and down ever since, right? There have been plenty of ups, but there have been plenty of downs as well. And that's been politely. The Dub, how you doing, buddy? Fans need to protest the ball dragging on Ole. The fairy tale has to stop. Ole needs to go. Are there any organised protests? No, there won't be any protests over Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being sacked. That's one thing a Manchester United fan base will definitely not do. That you can guarantee. And at least 5 of our starting 11 need dropping or selling, as they just don't have the heart or passion to pay for our club. It's as simple as that. Now, and what I would say there is a little bit of a caveat. I don't want to... Let's not reach the point here where we're starting to throw players under the bus. Let's not do that yet, all right? We've been here before. We know what happens. Let's not do that. Let's not try and scorn any particular individual, because right now the players are a collective representation of how Manchester United is just being mismanaged. Manchester United is being misrun as a football club. So right now, I'm not going to throw players under the bus because I think we all might regret it. Sam, you're saying... you think we have too many leaders in the team, which is one of the problems. I wouldn't say we have too many leaders in the team, but we certainly have leaders inside that team. And there are leaders that just don't have enough of a voice, right? And Maguire simply isn't doing enough, right? There's a couple of fresh updates on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer here coming from Miguel Delaney. Let's quickly take a look at that before. So thank you very much for... See, look, sometimes people in the comments can help by saying, Sam, there's a new tweet on the United Journal page. Hello. Thank you for that, Majamin. And then sometimes people lie and say things that haven't happened. But this has happened. So let's take a look. This one's coming from Miguel Delaney, who writes for ESPN. This is what he had to say. There is currently no feeling that Solskjaer will be moved on. The view from sources close to Manchester United and others in the game is that United's executives are by now well aware that this squad badly need a new direction, as well as some electricity. Well, it's not electrocuted squad. Probably not a good idea. Some figures have floated the idea on bringing in Ralf Rangnick as interim. And he already has a relationship with the Manchester United hierarchy. He would be interested in any such role, but one issue is that he would want some kind of football position afterwards. So what Miguel Delaney there is saying, that Ralf is interested in that job. It's not the first report we've had on that. I'm going to cover all of this in a full report. But the interesting point there is about the football position he would want afterwards. And that's something I'm going to say in the video later. But Ralf Rangnick is 62, 63 years old. He's coming towards the end of his career, and he's had a long, distinguished career. He's been manager at like 5, 6, 7 Bundesliga clubs. He's also been the marketing director and the global sports director at Leipzig. And it's a big part of their sort of revolution towards the modern day club they are now. He's now I think he's director of communications at Lokomotiv Moscow. And he's in a position where he's moving upstairs. He likes these roles. So if he came to Manchester United there, Miguel Delaney is saying there that he would want if he came in for that interim role for 7 months, it wouldn't be a case of he'd want to leave after those 7 months. He'd probably want to step up to a director role. And maybe that sounds even more perfect on paper for Manchester United, because we know we need someone like that who's experienced inside that role. So that's interesting developments there. We'll speak about that. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. I'll head down. There's a couple of super chats I'll read out here. Humzo saying Chelsea sacked Frank Lampard and won the Champions League. Yeah, I know he did. I wouldn't, honestly, for the life of us, let's not ever try and compare managerial situations to Chelsea. It's not a prime example of how to run a football club. It never has been and never will be. Max, how can you say that United tried everything? We never tried someone with proper attacking philosophy. And I think we have to. We've tried all sorts. We've literally gone and we've done licorice all sorts since Fergie retired. We've gone for Moyes, who was supposed to be Fergie's replacement. That sort of manager who's got a great distinguished career in bringing through youth players. He's got blah 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 blah. That was Moyes. That didn't really work. Van Gaal, the old experienced head, it was nearly 70 when he came in. He's got a philosophy and a style. Didn't work. Jarbo United wasn't the United way. Mourinho came in bed. We're like, well, sorry, we lost the United way. We may as well get in bed with the devil now, see if we can win some things. And we did win some things. Europa League and the League Cup. Did it change anything for Manchester United? No, it did not. So now we went Solskjaer, and I think he has had his attacking philosophy isn't as much as United fans would want. But the thing I found really strange about last few weeks, last couple of months, in fact, is that Solskjaer's moved away from that counter-attacking that works so well for him. Like he was trying to establish a different style, and he simply was not able to. John Jones, Chelsea are run well, aren't they? It depends what you think about a well-run football club, John, because no, Chelsea are not well-run. They're funded by an oil tycoon. They're funded by an ex-oligarch, from Russia, and their football business model is completely different to any other club that will ever be. So don't try and say, in my opinion, that Chelsea are a well-run football club. Going up here and seeing what you're all saying there about the news on Ralf Rangnick coming from Miguel Delaney, that Manchester United's board are floating the idea of Ralf Rangnick. Now, Stephen, you're saying that it's like the board is scared to sack Solskjaer. They are scared to sack Solskjaer. They are scared to admit that their mistake has been made. But what are you saying here about there's a new tweet from Samuel Luckhurst. What's old Sammy Luckhurst saying? Oh, God. Let's see what Samuel Luckhurst is having to say there. But yeah, that's a really interesting point there. Thank you very much for pointing that out about the update from United Journal. I'll see here quickly what Samuel Luckhurst is saying, and then we might wrap this one up. So if you really want any more questions, keep firing in your questions in your super chats, and I'll always answer them. There's no tweet from Samuel Luckhurst. It was an hour ago. Wow. But he's just saying that Solskjaer expects to be in charge. All the reports we're seeing this morning are the same. Solskjaer expects to be in charge against Watford and has promised a more attacking approach after the mixed results with the back three. So Solskjaer is not walking away. We can't expect Solskjaer to walk away. And as I said, I find that odd, man. I find that odd that people are trying to now say that Solskjaer is the problem, that Solskjaer should be walking away. It's not him. It's down to the board, man. It's down to his bosses to sack him. And you're like, oh, he's a legend. Mate, come the fuck on, people, right? Seriously. You wouldn't do it. Not in a million years would you do it. Nobody would. It's easy for us to sit here and go, Solskjaer should just walk. If he loves Manchester United that much, he'll just walk away from that payout. No, he's got a contract he's earned over the time, and he's going to stick to it. If Manchester United, they want to sack him, then they can sack him. But Solskjaer should not be expected to walk, and that should not be used as a stick to beat Solskjaer with. Really weird, that. Really, really odd, and I don't understand it. I'll be completely honest. But yeah, the situation on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as I said, as a quick roundup for anybody who hasn't joined in until now. This has been a therapy session for the next hour. I'm going to send you all the bill. It won't be because it hasn't. But Manchester United, as far as we can see, are not going to be sacking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. That's the reports coming out from Samuel Luckhurst, from Daniel Taylor from The Athletic, from Jamie Jackson from The Guardian. The feeling on this Sunday morning, and let's be honest, it's a Sunday morning, so I wouldn't expect it to really get hectic today. But Manchester United, as far as we can see, aren't really taking any active steps towards sacking Solskjaer. That doesn't mean that things won't change. And trust me, I would fully expect things to change this week. We can see that Manchester United are being linked with Ralf Rangnick. I'm going to do a video on him very, very soon. Next couple of hours here on United People's TV, you'll see a video on that. So you don't want to miss that. But that's it. As far as we know, Solskjaer's sacking latest update is that Manchester United don't want to do it just yet. It comes down to stubbornness at the board level. It comes down to Ed Woodward protecting his ego and the fact that he doesn't want to be wrong. And the last thing he wants before he leaves at the end of December is for him to say, "I was wrong about Solskjaer." Simply that. Simply that. Always trying to be a comedian down here, so I'm going to pull up his bad jokes so you can all see it. Ollie doesn't listen to Craig David, so he will be walking away. Mate, Ollie, that was basically as bad as the performance yesterday from United. That really was. And you're saying Ollie's a nice, comfortable shield for the Glazers, misdirection at its finest. While we pump vitriol at Ole, the parasites are left alone to rape our club. Don't really like the use of the word rape there. Even more in the shadows. Yeah, well, we all know that. And that's a big reason that the yes men and the puppets, and I don't ever think Ole, to a point, he's been a yes man, yeah, but let's get into that conversation another time. Look, I'll wrap this video up now. I hope you've enjoyed the video this morning. Please, if you would, there's so many of you watching right now. I'd love to have you part of the community here on United People's TV. So please consider dropping a like on the video if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, and please subscribe if you would as well. It's free. Get involved. And if you'd like to join the channel, become a member. You get access to the private members WhatsApp group, which really was a therapy session yesterday, and a good place to be with other United fans and all Reds together. You also get your comments read out as a priority on Facebook and YouTube. It's your chance to come a little bit closer into the community. Hope this video helped you sort of understand everything that's coming out of the club right now on Solskjaer. But expect it to change in the next couple of days. And that's just my own opinion. I might be wrong. I expect that to change. So drop a like on the video. Take it easy, everybody. Thank you very much for all your comments this morning. As I said, make sure you check out the video that's going to be coming out very soon on Ralf Rangnick. I know that's a big talking point for a lot of you. Who is he? What could he do? I'm going to cover all of it to educate and help you understand all the reports so you don't have to go and read 100 articles about it. That video will be out soon. Thank you very much. Football shit, isn't it? Football is great.